All right, what's going on there, folks? Good evening. Welcome back here to another update on this wonderful Friday night, December 15th, 2023. It's wonderful just because it is, right? About 11:22 p.m. California time. Latest activity looks like a 2.2 out around the desert of Texas, outside of Pecos, Texas there, and the red flag. Also got, I've seen a green flag hiding out here somewhere. Where did it go? All right, somewhere out there, I'm just not seeing it. Goodness. All right, let's go over and check out the activity in the space weather department first, because we do have the potential here of seeing the auroras over the next couple nights. Now, this is tonight's forecast here. Not really expecting too much. It's tomorrow night when we are expecting to see the amplification here of the auroras across the polar regions, extending down into possibly here the northern tier states. That is going to be the view line. So if you're up here northeastern Oregon, take a view towards the northern horizon. Got to have a clear shot in dark skies, and you may be able to see that aurora activity. Now, that's also dependent on how much of a impact that we receive from a couple different CMEs that were blasted off the sun here recently. One of those coming from the X 2.8 flare that kicked off here a couple days ago. The arrival of that is going to be here tomorrow. It looks like that could kick up some moderate G2 class storming. Again, it's a possibility. We've got to watch that. Here is the one of the images of that large CME that was blasted off. Is not completely Earth directed, but we are getting slight glancing blow here that should increase in terms of the speed, the plasma density, and whatnot for tomorrow night. So look for that if you guys are out and about tomorrow night and you have clear skies. Again, that's going to be for Saturday night, December 16th. Still seeing a proton event right now. That's currently forecast at 50%, but it looks like that's coming in. Been coming in all day here. These are just charged particles interacting with the ionosphere. They do have a dramatic effect on high frequency and low frequency communication and navigation systems, but they are limited right now across the southern polar area here on Earth. Slightly up here across the northern regions, but it will be interesting to see how things react upon that arrival of the CME tomorrow. Should this be currently in the position that it is, we should maybe see those G2 storms or possibly larger kick up tomorrow night. So pretty cool. The current flare activity from the sun shows that we have mellowed down here the past couple days. Goodness, we've seen that X 2.8, the largest solar flare this cycle, and the largest one since about 2017. Now, I know social media has been spreading fear about this, and radio communications are going to go down and telephones are going to go down, and no, no, it's not. These flares, X flares, actually happen on a regular basis here. This just happens to be one of the stronger ones. There was some navigation systems and frequency blackouts on the sunlit side of the Earth when that solar flare came in there a couple days ago, and it affected, it seems like, everything below about 30 MHz, so that did affect obviously shortwave communications and whatnot, but not going to destroy the Earth, not going to shut down the internet, not going to shut down the power grid. Now, is it possible if we see something like the Carrington event, which was way stronger and it had more of a direct impact there from the CME? Yeah, it's possible. We could all see that, right? We're all dependent on electronics, internet, all these satellites up in the air. It will be interesting to see if we get one of those events and see what happens to all the satellites up there and whatnot. I'm sure there's thousands upon thousands. I don't have a total count. Does anyone have a total count on the total amount of space junk up there? All right, let's look at, see what we got going on here for the current flaring activity. I'm noticing here across the eastern limb a little bit of bright feature here on the UV filter array that shows quite a few more sunspots coming around the eastern limb. Here is the current magnetogram. Get it to pull up here. Hopefully, there we go. Showing those newer sunspots coming around the bend. Looks like maybe another one here way out on the southeastern limb. That does, it showed up pretty brightly on the UV filter. So we'll watch these coming sunspots here. Could get active as we head into next week. Right now, there's 3514 out here. That was the culprit. I think it's 3514, right? Yeah, 3514. This was actually, this kind of looks like it was last night or this morning. Pretty far advanced, a lot of complexity, a lot of colors popping up there like popcorn. That shows a very unstable sunspot region. And it still looks fairly unstable, but if you notice, it's much further across the western limb of the sun. Almost out of sight, out of mind. So anything that does blast off here will obviously be directed away from the Earth. And right now we are left with, these newer sunspot regions coming around. But also this core right here. There's a split in between these polarities of the magnetic fields. Those normally don't produce any significant flaring. But we'll continue to watch that. The main flare threat right now, where we're seeing that 25% chance of an X flare, is due to 3514 still being on the visible side of the sun there. So we'll continue to watch that. 99% chance for a C flare, M flare at 55. And of course, the proton event there somewhat elevated at 50%. There's our G2 class storming expected here tomorrow and potentially into Sunday as well. So we do have a decent chance of seeing it. At least these are the forecast probabilities. Right now, definitely does not look like anything is happening at all up here. Look, these are forecasts here, 30-minute aurora forecast. Very minimal, absolutely minimal. So we'll see. We'll definitely know when that comes in here tomorrow. All right, let's see what's going on here on the earthquake activity. Anything major going on out here across the globe? Well, we are seeing some movement here off the coast of Sumatra area, 5.0 coming in 52 kilometers deep. That has been kind of the blocking range here of the migration of pressure out here across this plate boundary recently. But it looks as though things may be stirring up here very soon across this area of the Java Trench northward, maybe around the Andaman Sea area. Watch this region here closely, as that has been quiet, and all that clustering going on, all that compacting and crushing of the plates out here, so to speak, will eventually find its migration and pressure transfer region up here across this plate boundary. So we'll continue to watch that for some larger scale activity. Up here in the Japan region, you guys hear that? I think somebody's... I still think somebody's messing with me here, unless there's a ghost in the machine. But that was my laptop, which is... it's closed and shut off. And the last time it reset itself like that was when I was doing a live stream update a month or so ago. I find that very odd. I don't have it set up to reset itself. 4.3 Japan and 4.3 Japan in the last 24 hours. The latest one right there, as you can see a little bit closer down here into the Japan Trench, about 59 kilometers or so into that area. Goodness. Ghosts in the machine. Ghosts in the machines, I should say. Got a lot of ghosts out here. The Alaska region, typical movement up here. Not really seeing anything major going on up there. It looks very typical for activity. Pacific Northwest, nothing showing up here in terms of earthquake activity for now. Make sure we're still live. Looks like we're good. California, we were watching some movement here along the creeping segment of the San Andreas Fault. That has kind of died off here. Getting a little bit of activity outside the Ridgecrest area in the last 24 hours or so. A little cluster going on outside of Ridgecrest. And the extreme Southern California region, well, a handful of earthquakes. Notice this little linear fashion here extending just off the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault. That's what I'm watching here. Right now, things are, they're stable. But the question is, how long is this going to remain stable? The southern branch here is the big one, will be the big one. 8.1 is what they are claiming is built up here. Enough strain and stress for an 8.1 earthquake here in Southern California. That would not be a good weekend out there for the folks down there. That'd be a bad day. A couple bad months, I'm sure, following that earthquake. But for now, it's quiet, at least, in terms of anything major going on. The Yellowstone area, nothing showing up here on the map, so let's double check Yellowstone National Park. It is a super volcano, beautiful. I love the scenery up there, but I do not enjoy the traffic. It's kind of similar to driving in San Francisco, but with animals crossing the road and lots of pine trees. Maple Creek, a little bit of spikiness going on out here, but nothing big. These are all very small microquakes across the region. But no magma movement, no doom and gloom. That is in the future, no doubt, but right now things are very quiet. Across the Texas area, there's some of that movement outside of Pecos, Texas there in the desert. Aside from that, a little bit of movement here across the Caribbean plate. Nothing major going on there currently, as we can see on the Earthquake 3D globe. This is all very typical, 2s and 3s and some 4s. Same for the South America region. Getting a handful of earthquakes, it looks like, out into the southern Atlantic. The divergent boundary zones out there showing a little bit of activity. That's also being picked up here on the USGS map. Got this one little odd earthquake out here, a 5.3 away from the plate boundary. It's a little weird. And it looks like a minute later, another 5.3, but closer here to the plate boundary. It's very odd to see these type of earthquakes away from this region here. A look, though, let's bring up the area. You can see where the fracture zone is out there in the oceanic crust. But it's not too often we see these earthquakes strike outside of that region, so I'm not for sure if this has been reviewed or not. Let me double check and see if we got a review. It has been reviewed, so it looks like that may hold steady for a location, but just a little odd. Interesting activity going on down there. Iceland area, well, let's go ahead and double check that just for reference and make sure we got the most recent update. There you go, folks. 12 hours of earthquake activity. 7. Oh, goodness. We are looking at some dwindling conditions out here. Still dwindling out here across the Grindavik area. No major changes at all to take note of out there in the Iceland region. Let's see what else we have. There's a 5.0 earthquake. That's that one over there around the Java Trench. Up in the Afghanistan area, we've got a 4.0 coming in earlier. Pretty deep, but the typical zone out there in the mountains. Let's see if we got anything going on here across New Zealand area. Looks like a 3.0. South Island region, right smack dab on the plate boundary, it looks like. Some deep movement up north here of the New Zealand region. That's going to be these couple earthquakes right here. Had this 4.4 coming in earlier this afternoon below 600 kilometers deep. That is a super deep earthquake. And then just recently, another deep earthquake here back into the Tonga Trench for that 5.4, 530 kilometers. So heads up across this plate boundary. Could be looking at some increasing strain, some further aftershock activity here into the Philippines. Right now, it looks like we got quite a few 4s here in the last 24 hours. Nothing major, but with the increasing pressure here across the plate boundary, we could be looking at maybe some amplification there of those magnitudes in the aftershock department. The big island of Hawaii. Let's see what's going on out here in the Pacific. Still got some movement out here across the Pahala area. No major changes that I know of out there in the Kilauea volcano range or volcano area. It's been showing some elevated inflation here across the area recently. Let's go ahead and check out the latest map. Noticing that downtrend here in the last 2 days. So looks like we may have peaked out from this this previous inflation event. If my calculations are correct, it's possible we should see some further downturn here. It seems like the past couple downturns that we've seen following an uptick, we've seen larger earthquake activity take place. That was that 4 or 5 that stirred up here a few days ago there outside the Kilauea volcano. So we'll see if we get any further earthquake activity, some unusual activity compared to the normal during this period of downturn, this deflation event. But it should only last for a couple days, and then we should see it peak back up. Maybe it has been doing it, probably more than likely above the previous highest level of inflation here on this chart. This is a 30-day inflation chart area, and it just keeps going up and up and up. It's following this crazy trend of inflation by at least 2 days of deflation, and then the next inflation event's higher. Crazy. So we'll continue to watch that and report back on anything that may be of value. All right, what else we got here? Check out this. Let me zoom this up here a little bit. There we go. Can you guys see that? Look at all that rainfall. This is the next 7 days quantitative precipitation forecast here from the NOAA.gov website. And most of the time, these are pretty accurate. Big time storm out here brewing here in the Gulf. Going to take a lot of moisture into Florida and up along the East Coast with some substantial rainfall amounts. As you can see on the color graph here, could be looking at 5 inches or more potentially across certain areas out here in Florida and portions of the Carolinas there. That's a pretty big time event, all warmer moisture, so I don't think there's going to be any snow associated with it. Over here across the West Coast, well, there's our storm systems coming in. Here in the Sacramento Valley, well, we are expecting around 2.5 inches or so. Much more in the mountain ranges here. High snow levels above probably 7,000, 8,000 feet or so. This is a very warm storm coming in. And, but boy, are we going to get some moisture out here. Northern California, Southern California is going to get impacted by this event as well. So this is a pretty good rainmaker. Let me show you guys here on the chart. There's our low pressure building out in the Gulf of Mexico. That is going to amplify and bring those wet conditions, as you see, up the eastern seaboard with lots of precipitation coming in. Our storm here in the West Coast is going to begin Sunday night, pick up into Monday as that low pressure swings in. And it's centered, it's going to be centered just off the coast here of Southern California. If you watch this zoom in, it's kind of a cut-off low pressure system. They're cut off, meaning off of the main jet stream. So it's just kind of dwindling down here, spinning off into the Pacific, and that's going to bring some, again, some substantial moisture there to the Northern California area, and of course Southern California down there as well. And a couple days break, and then we got some more systems lined up to hit the California area. And after that, as we head into January, well, that's a ways out there. It's 15 days out, so I can't really say if this is going to be the correct model or not, but it looks like our storm door is going to be open here for the West Coast. Here's a look at the expected total accumulated precipitation here from the GFS model, and it runs through the January 1st time frame. I can't believe it's almost 2024. That's crazy. And as you can see, rainfall accumulation rates are pretty consistent with what the NOAA website showed. Some of these, though, may show some more storms, because that model I showed you was about 7 days for a forecast. So there's some more storms coming up here that's going to add to the total rain out here in the California region. So it's looking pretty crazy. It's looking wet. That's good. I'm ready. I am ready. All right, what else we got here, folks? I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on. Kind of late. Oh, yeah, congratulations to our member winner drawing, or our drawing winner that kicked off here earlier this afternoon. I'm kind of saying everything backwards here. It's kind of late, so. But Rob52, congratulations there, our latest winner. Longtime member, I think over 1.5 years. So we appreciate you being on board there, Rob. A little bit of earthquake activity here across Hot Caves. That's going to be some of that movement there in Hawaii that we're seeing. But for now, downtrend going on as far as the deflation, the deflationary event there. Trying to think what else is there, folks. There's our G2 storm warnings or watch here the next couple nights. We'll continue to watch that and see how it plays out. Shows some of the CME activity that's been blasted off over the last couple days. So we'll see. We'll definitely see how this affects us. Have a good one. Stay safe out there, folks, and we will catch you guys back here tomorrow, Saturday. Have a good one.